please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Hello everyone, welcome to the exhibition of stupid people. Sorry about this being a bit more visually stripped back. Time constraints on my part, entirely my fault, mean I'm unable to spend as much time editing the video as I ordinarily can. To start, we're going to go with some continued fallout to the game Lord of the Rings Gollum. Been mean to high heaven. It was hilarious when everyone found out that the base model for Smeagol was based on Elmo. The developers have handled this quite well. Daedalic Entertainment has decided to shut down the internal studio, which is Germany based, that made the game, and has ended development on a second project based on the Lord of the Rings intellectual property. This was confirmed to Polygon. Now, Polygon can be considered fake news, all the crap they espoused during Gamergate, and the fact they're essentially still doing that crap is quite amusing, but in this instance they're not wrong, so we can at least think of them as being partially correct in certain contexts. Instead, the company is going to fully focus on its publishing business. I have maintained I still intended to try this on the Switch, but I will admit, since Nintendo are renowned for charging through the nose for games, even when they're on sale, it might not be worth my time. In a statement to Polygon, the company said that Gollum did not live up to the expectations we had for the game. I'm not surprised. When Gollum looked like absolute crap, the voice acting was subpar, there were more bugs than there were in a Fallout game. It was quite crap really, and impressive at the same time. Something that didn't help the game Gollum was that while it was announced in 2019 and was expected in 2021, with a story originally from a perspective never seen before, Gollum was delayed multiple times. Its release was a dud, on par with that with the superhero movie genre and TV shows. Less is more, folks. Focus on the quality of the story and the product. When the graphics for a video game set decades after the original movie's releases is so much worse than that of those movies, you know you done goofed a bitch. It should be noted, the company still intend to finish a DLC for the game Gollum before they then completely shut down what they've been doing, because it turns out they fucked around and then they found out when they produced something so bad they got beyond levels of shit that they've ever seen in their life. I'm not saying you deserved it, but I'm sure people in my comments will tell you you did. So next, Jackie Chan was trending on Twitter. Now this was going to feature in last week's EOSP, but it didn't because I didn't have enough sources. Owing to a friend visiting, I wasn't actually doing any research while he was here. As I ordinarily do, I collect sources and then I compile it over the course of a week. If I have time away from this, I don't compile any sources. Jackie Chan was trending because of a video doing its rounds. This video made him look like he was something else. A man reminiscing about his life, as it were, right? The video's playing on the screen, I'm taking the audio out on purpose. The thing is, the daughter you see there isn't actually his daughter. You see, Jackie Chan has been estranged from his daughter for decades. Now there are a number of reasons why. One is allegedly due to an affair with her mother. Jackie Chan's estranged daughter though cites his discomfort with her sexuality because she's not straight. I wanted to feature this because videos like this are hilarious, because give Twitter 5 seconds and they'll provide you with the context. This is obviously at the end of Pride Month, and it's quite a damning statement of a legendary actor holding what others would consider to be rather backward views when it comes to accepting what your daughter does with their life. Then again, Jackie Chan is also considered a China government shill. Yes, I'm very much aware of that. I won't deny I hold a bias with Jackie because I love Rush Hour. There were 3 of my favourite movies. Honestly, they're hilarious. But some of the stories that have come from his daughter, if true, paint him in a light that is very hard to remove. So now let's move on. You know, while we're in this area where I've kind of dissed superhero movies, perhaps we should talk about that briefly. James Gunn removed Dwayne Johnson because of Black Adam being considered a disaster. Now, when Dwayne Johnson did damage control for that, he pointed out it did in fact make profit, foundation to build a franchise with. Okay, since then we've had Shazam 2 and The Flash. However, rather amusingly, since James Gunn has taken over at DCU, EU, whatever it's called, it hasn't done as well. In fact, while it can be argued that Dwayne Johnson wasted 15 years of his life creating Black Adam, The Flash and Shazam haven't even done as well combined. Some do attribute this to blowback because of removing the likes of Gal Gadot and Henry Cavill. And there's a point to that, because Henry Cavill was incredibly popular as Superman. Gal Gadot too, but the second Wonder Woman movie was trash. And we're still waiting to find out what happens with the second Aquaman movie. But when Black Adam does better than Shazam and The Flash, and James Gunn didn't really want Black Adam in the first place, it makes Black Adam look better. It really does. In the case of The Flash, they relied on nostalgia and a very messy story. In the case of Shazam, they relied on a really messy story. How are people not understanding this in the movie industry? They had to learn this mistake with The Amazing Spider-Man 2. If you add too many villains or too much going on at once, rather than a very linear story, as opposed to a wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey story, your story is going to blow! How can you not get this? James Gunn's done fantastic work with the likes of Guardians of the Galaxy. Quite frankly, within Marvel's sphere of existence, it is a perfect trilogy, or argued to be as such. I think Captain America is a close second, although you can argue Captain America 1 and 2, 3's more Avengers 2.5, but it is still a good story, even if it is a little rushed. There aren't many other trilogies within that area that can be considered as good as. But this isn't solely the fault of James Gunn. In the case of Black Adam, Dwayne Johnson, he knows how to sell something, even if it is something not many people want. He sold something not many people wanted, i.e. Black Adam, and he still made close to $400 million from it. The Flash, though, not much promotion because of a certain cast member, a very well-known one, whose presence harms the franchise, the product, the brand. They are a bit of a cancerous limb, yet at the same time, they are the Scarlet Speedster, aren't they? That makes this a bit tricky. Now, rumour had it, James Gunn's first chapter or phase of the DCU was titled Gods and Monsters. Why Superman didn't feature in that, which we all wanted a sequel to Man of Steel, a proper sequel that is, maybe even Brainiac, that would have been cool. Would have been cool for Black Adam 2 and of course the Man of Steel to square off. Shazam and Black Adam to square off. These would have been good stories to tell, but instead, that's not what happened. I get that with DC there are a lot of stories you can tell, but this whole confusing timeline crap and removing some of your more notable stars is not great. But DC have another problem, and that is that many people want the continuation of the Snyderverse. James Gunn can't win this. No matter how good he is at doing something, he can't win. Don't forget here, he gave us a second Suicide Squad movie when no one wanted it. The only good thing to come out of that was the first season of Peacemaker afterwards, because John Cena is a very funny actor. Very funny actor. And he only has 2 angles he's allowed to be seen on camera with. Basically, it's the profile and the front because of the bald patch on the back. So the failure of the DCU as it stands is not solely on the shoulders of James Gunn. That's the point. Because if you can't promote something that people want or don't want, then what are you trying to accomplish? Are you relying on the credibility of the name alone? In the case of The Flash, sure, you might be able to latch onto the dwindling success of the CW's Flash. Let's just pretend everything after season 3 didn't happen, although I did like DeVoe as a villain. Maybe they should have recast The Flash as Grant Gustin. That might have done better. Additionally, not done Michael Keaton so dirty. Just saying. During Corona-Chan lockdowns that were absolute nonsense, and the fallout of which has been quite entertaining to watch, especially when a number of people who are on the alternative side to all of that have been proven right. Yes, it's getting quite tragic. Not that I can talk about it here, I would still be struck off the platform. One of the more notable names to come out of it was Captain Tom Moore, who was, because he raised over $30 million for the NHS, knighted by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. It was quite special, to be honest, and I couldn't think of anyone more deserving of that. Sadly, he has since passed away. His daughters, his youngest more notably Hannah Ingram Moore, set up a charity following his death called the Captain Tom Foundation. At present, the foundation is no longer receiving donations, and all channels' avenues of accessing revenue have been shut down. And this is because of an ongoing statutory inquiry by the Charity Commission concerning some rather shady finances. When the inquiry originally started a year ago, the Charity Commission said concerns have mounted over the charity and independence from a business run by Captain Sir Tom's family. Many have accused Hannah Ingram Moore of being a grifter, hack, and embezzling thief. Whether that's true or not, I'm not entirely sure yet, but this might not help. She at the time lived at the family home in Marston Mortain. She requested originally planning permission in August of 2021 for a Captain Tom Foundation building for use by occupiers and the Captain Tom Foundation. These were submitted to the Central Bedfordshire Council. Permission was granted for a single-storey structure to be built on the tennis court at the Grade 2 listed home. In February 2022, the family submitted revised plans for the already partially constructed building, which called it Captain Tom Building. The plans included, and this is where it gets a bit sus, a spa pool, toilets, a kitchen, which the Design and Access and Heritage Statement said was for private use. Okay, so we've gone from an office building suitable for a charity to operate to turning it into a spa with additional facilities, consume and evacuate. Okay, that's not sus. The building was actually finished, by the way. It actually was. But in November 2022, the council refused the retrospective planning permission for the revised plans. But the building was finished. Council spokesperson had to put out a statement saying an enforcement notice requiring the demolition of the now unauthorised building was issued, and this is now subject to an appeal to the Planning Inspectorate, because they finished it without permission, believing that by having it completed, they could show the benefits of this existing. When it comes to Grade 2 listed properties, you can't get away with that, not in the United Kingdom, unless you have a lot of finance behind you, or you know the right people. In this instance, it comes across as using your deceased father's name to set up a charity, to use money from that charity to build a spa for private use when the original intention was an office for the charity's existence, the foundation, to be able to then operate, acquire donations, and properly use the money once the charity commission has finished their investigation anyway, to benefit those that it was intended to benefit. And I don't think it was supposed to originally benefit Hannah Ingram Moore. You've made a number of television appearances in recent year. Yeah, it's not made you look good. You look a bit like a grifter. You come across as a grifter. I recognise grifters because I remember them during the times of the Skeptics. Trademark. To Hannah Ingram Moore, please stop crapping on your deceased father's good name, who did some good, by using his name to raise money to then use it wrongly. The last thing I want to cover is a video that was doing its rounds on Twitter that concerns me because I'm not entirely convinced the message being pushed is the right kind of message that should be promoted. And if anyone tries to reply to me now in the comments by saying I'm fat shaming, you can F right off. F being fat right off. Yes, that's what you can do. You can fat off.
Actually perfectly fine to be visibly fat. It is actually perfectly okay.
Of course it is. There are versions of that where the answer can be no from a health standpoint, but you do you with your body. Yeah, just don't be surprised when vast numbers of a society in a country you live in judge you harshly, akin to that of how Magog judges people, because perhaps it is seen as a form of laziness, excess, entitlement, gluttony essentially. Yeah, and the laziness usually comes down to a form of pride. Oh, I wonder how many more sins I can tie this into. However, the original point still stands. If you want to be fat, you do you, boo. I am not here to judge your appearance. However, I will judge a person's choice, because that tickles me to no end. Also, no lives matter, and you seem to be doing it for me for yourself.
Like, it's not bad and not the worst thing.
When you fiddle with your hair, you look away, you look uncertain with what you're saying, it tells me you are brainwashing yourself into believing your own lie. If we address this solely from a health standpoint, you are factually, scientifically incorrect. Because you can look a certain way for a period of time before it starts to do some irreparable harm to your body. That is fact. So while it is okay to be fat, if you intend to live a long, healthy, prosperous, and I mean in the sense of being able to move more, do more, enjoy life more. Now, of course, how one enjoys life is again subjective, but I can't imagine going out for a nice long walk in the hills is remotely comparable to lounging on a couch watching the Avengers on loop with the CPAP hooked up to your face while you shovel fish fingers into your mouth. Is remotely comparable.
Like, so many people want to act like being visibly fat is the worst thing.
Depends which time of the year it is. Generally, that's how I look at it. Some people wear things they really shouldn't because of their size, and in the summer, they make sure to wear it. Male, female, other.
It's perfectly fine. Like, it's actually okay. It's actually okay to have a double chin. It's actually okay to have a big arm.
In this context, is okay another word for abysmal? Or is it akin to that of a hostage message? You're saying okay, but your eyes betray you, that kind of thing?
It's actually okay to have big arms, big legs, your stomach hanging, rolls. Like, to have movement, jiggle in your body when it moves. It's okay.
Is it, though? Without additional context? From a personal, choice stance? Sure. Yeah, that's fine. You do you, right? From a health stance, no. That means gravity is actually trying to punish you. That said, even if you're an average build, or slightly over or slightly under, things move. That's part of the body, is it not? I am built nowhere near to you. I am much smaller in build, okay? But if I'm on a treadmill, things move. Of course they do. It's part of human body, I feel like I have to point these extremes out because somebody else is going to do it in the comments, along with accusing me of fat shaming. And do remember, if you're going to be that person, you can fat right off.
It's actually okay. It's perfectly okay. It's perfectly fine. And not even fine, but it's totally neutral, just like how anyone's body looks. It's fine.
When someone says it's okay, it's fine, so many times that I lost count, I am led to believe that you are desperately trying to make this seem like that is the case. But the reality, the harsh reality of it all, is sinking in, yeah? Like a decent moist cake. It's sinking in. Ma belle. Yes, I made that joke. You can shut the fat up.
It's okay. Like, it's actually fine. Who cares?
Clearly you do, or you wouldn't have made the video in the first place. There is an air of desperation in how your eyes move, the fidgeting with your hands to play with your hair, the fidgeting with the camera to change the angle at every opportunity. The eye contact was quite startling. It clearly bothers you, but I don't know if it bothers you because you know you're telling a lie, or if it bothers you because you believe it so much you want it to be the truth. Or because you've been getting a lot of blowback on TikTok, which wouldn't surprise me. TikTok is the less filtered version of Twitter. Yes, you're just more likely to get yeeted off TikTok than you are off Twitter these days. It used to be the other way round. That's not to say it's impossible to get yeeted off Twitter, by the way. You can. I'm not one of those people, but you never know. It might one day happen. I don't know. Let me get to 10k followers first, alright? I'm trying. Anyway, we're done here. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate it, and I'm sorry it's a bit more stripped back.